All right, so now let's talk about sub-5 or tritone resolution. Now, I have other lessons that talk in more depth about the tritone, but basically, this is what it is. D minor 7, going to G7, going to C major 7. The tritone usually happens on the 5 dominant 7th chord, okay? So you have D minor 7, and instead of playing G dominant 7th, what you do is you go to the tritone. Now, one way of finding the tritone is if you go down, it's the halfway point in the octave. So instead of playing G dominant 7th, you play D flat dominant 7th. So this is where you get D minor 7 to D flat dominant 7th to C major 7. Okay, now remember before I was saying how you could kind of call that 2 minor 7 and then flat 2 7 and then 1 major 7? But you know what, you want to do that because it's not really a flat 2 dominant 7th. It's really a 5-7 chord, okay, that is deceptively resolving, okay? So what we would do is we call that 2, okay, to 5-7 of 1, and we put it in parentheses, okay, and then we draw a dotted line, okay, from that 5-7 of 1 going to the 1 chord. Now, let's break that down again. So we have D minor 7, we would call that 2 minor 7, right? So above the chord symbol, you'd write 2, you know, just 2, I think it's better to use the lowercase Roman numerals, so just use the 2 lowercase i's, okay? And then the D flat dominant 7th would be 5, you know, the V, you know, 5, 7, and you put a slash, and then you know, a capital I for 1. So 5, 7 slash I, 1, okay, 5, 7 over 1, okay, which means 5, 7 is resolving to the 1 chord. Now, it's a little bit confusing because when dealing with chord symbols, if you see something like, well, you're going to see it right here in 8 Misbehaving. It says C7 slash E. Now we know that as it's a C7 chord with E in the bottom, okay? E in the bass, right? Now when analyzing though, that slash takes on a different role. Instead of it meaning it's this chord over this note, which in the case of C7 over E, it means that slash means this chord over this note. So C7 over E, all right? So C7 with E in the bass. When analyzing, okay, when we say 5-7 slash 1, that means 5-7 resolving to, okay, that's what the slash means, resolving to, and then 1. So it'd be 2 minor 7, 5-7 resolving to 1, okay, and then 1 major 7. Okay? Now, I say that it's deceptive, you know, like you can have the parentheses there. I would put the parentheses there because it's another way of also signifying that sub-5. I believe that that's how they also did it at Berkeley, okay? So you put the parentheses around the 5-7 of 1, but the main thing is it's that dotted line. That dotted line is a clear indicator to you that, oh, all right, that's right. That is a half-step resolution or a tritone resolution moving down a half step. So once again, it's that D minor 7, moving down a half step to D flat dominant 7th, moving down a half step to C major 7. So 2, 5-7 of 1, parentheses, so you know it's not just a typical 5-7 of 1, okay? 5-7 of 1, parentheses, dotted line moving down to 1 major 7, okay? Now, as we analyze more, I'll probably have to do another lesson on analysis or include it in some other lessons. As you analyze more, you start to, you know, it starts to make more sense, okay? But the main thing is just kind of knowing those 2-5-1s and sub-5s and tritone substitution and in your dominant motion. If you get that for right now, that's going to be huge because then a lot of the rest of the chords are diatonic chords. Now, what we're going to do in the next chapter, I think you have enough now that we can then start taking a look at Ain't Misbehavin' and start to analyze that song, and it'll start to unfold for you a lot more. So, thank you for your patience. I'll see you in the next chapter.